All right, we spend a lot of time looking at what's happening right now, but today we're going to do something a little different. We are diving into a really fascinating projection, one that tries to map out a potential century-long journey for Bitcoin, imagining where it could be in the year 2140 and even beyond.
So, the source material we're looking at kicks things off with this really powerful idea. It's framing Bitcoin not just as some new asset, but as a historic event. Kind of like the creation of the gold standard, but this time it's happening right out in the open for all of us to see. It's a pretty bold claim, and it really sets the stage for an equally bold projection.
So, before we can jump into our time machine and zip into the future, we have to understand what's actually powering this thing. The source argues that Bitcoin's entire path forward rests on four fundamental concepts. Let's call them the four pillars that support this entire century-long vision. First up, you've got the scarcity engine. You know, those predictable supply cuts, the halvings. They create a mathematically guaranteed rarity that you just can't fake. Then there's the adoption curve. The idea is that, just like the internet, it'll start slow before hitting this huge explosion into mass use. Next up, the network effect, a simple but crazy powerful idea where every single new person who joins makes the whole thing that much more valuable for everybody else. And finally, and this one's huge, it's about digital property. In a world where so much of our life is online, Bitcoin offers a way to truly own a piece of that digital world. According to the source, these four pillars are the bedrock for everything that comes next. Okay, let's make our first stop on this journey, the near future. We're talking the next 5, maybe 10 years. This period is all about transformation. How Bitcoin, according to this projection, shifts from being this niche speculative thing into a recognized player on the world's financial stage. So here's our roadmap. We're starting with the near future, then jumping to the mid-future, where things get, well, kind of quiet, and then we're landing a full century from now to look at its final, lasting legacy. You know, what's really interesting here is the shift in language. The source predicts we'll just stop talking about Bitcoin as crypto and start talking about it in the same way we talk about gold or oil or treasury bonds. It's a fundamental shift from a tech story to a global finance story. And the source projects some pretty huge milestones for this to happen. Just imagine it becoming a standard option, a checkbox in your retirement portfolio. Major economies finally get their act together and create clear rules of the road. And then, as all the big institutional money starts flowing in, those crazy price swings we see today, they begin to calm down. The projection even sees its total value blowing past that of all the gold in the world, becoming, in essence, the foundational money for the internet itself. All right, now we're going to jump forward maybe 15 to 30 years from now. And the funny thing about this phase is that if this projection is right, we'll probably be talking about Bitcoin a lot less. Its success is actually marked by it becoming so integrated into everything that it's just, well, boring. I mean, think about it. Do you talk about the internet protocol TCP/IP every day? Of course not. You just use the internet. It works. The argument here is that Bitcoin is on that same path, eventually becoming the quiet, super reliable plumbing of the global financial system. And that right there is a massive psychological shift. You'll have a whole generation that grows up knowing Bitcoin not as some risky bet their parents made, but as a stable, dependable store of wealth. Their trust in it won't be based on speculation. It'll be based on their own lived experience. And the roles it could play in this future are pretty profound. Picture this, your Bitcoin, not your house, being the main collateral you use for a mortgage. Most of the supply isn't even for sale anymore. It's locked away by long-term holders. You might have these advanced AI economies using it to settle transactions between themselves automatically. And then, and this is where it gets really sci-fi, as humanity expands out to the moon and Mars, we're going to need a type of money that isn't tied to any one country back on Earth. And that leads us right to this idea of an interplanetary currency. A colony on Mars can't really use US dollars or Chinese yuan without basically importing all of Earth's politics along with it. A neutral digital protocol like Bitcoin, the source argues, is really the only logical solution for an economy that spans planets. All right, time for our final jump, the big one, way out into the far future. 100 years from now, what does Bitcoin even look like? The argument here is that its main value might not even be financial anymore. It might be historical. The source uses this incredible metaphor, the Bitcoin blockchain as a digital pharaoh's tomb. I mean, think about that. Like the pyramids, it's a monument that's built to outlast its creators. But instead of being built from stone, it's built from cryptographic blocks, preserving a perfect,
unchangeable record of our economic lives for historians of the future to study.
And this is a key date to remember. Around the year 2140, the code's issuance schedule will finally complete. The very last fraction of a Bitcoin will be mined, and after that, no new coins will ever be created. It's the end of a 140-year monetary policy coming to a perfect planned conclusion.
So, what's its ultimate legacy then? Well, it's not just a time capsule or some digital scroll. According to this vision, it stands as proof that a global financial system could be built on pure mathematics instead of political games, and on transparent code that anyone can check instead of force.
Now, of course, we've got to be super clear here. The source itself says this isn't a prophecy. It's a projection. It's not some detailed roadmap to a guaranteed destination, but more like a compass, pointing in a direction that its core principles suggest is possible.
And it leaves us with this final thought, which I think really reframes the whole question away from just short-term prices. It asks us instead to think about these massive technological and social currents that are moving, and to decide for ourselves where we want to stand as that river flows on into the next century.